Welcome back to Temporal Directive, the Star Trek fan podcast, rewatching the entire franchise in chronological order. I'm Gary.
And I'm Tom.
And this week, we're watching Star Trek Enterprise's The Catwalk. Star Trek, the ultimate franchise. These are the podcasts of the Wakefield brothers. Their 16-year mission to watch every production, to seek out life lessons and new inspirations, to boldly watch like most fans have watched before. Hello. How are you, Tom?
I am tired.
And welcome to Faja. Jeff is back.
I'm
Hello.
back. How you going?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, yeah, I'm here.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, still here.
We're all doing great.
Yeah. What's been happening for the week?
Not much. As always, just working. Actually,
need a hobby.
It's been quite interesting with Emily's dogs. At least we're getting into a bit of a pattern because
Emily's our sister, by the way.
Yeah. They're looking after her place, and thankfully her and all her zoo animals have been quite comfortable with me now. So everything's in a bit of a pattern.
Okay.
And her giant freaking dog is not pooping everywhere on the floor. So it's all good now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
good.
Thank Christ. So that's good.
You really need a hobby,
I
Tom.
do. I need anything other than what's going on. It's just nuts.
He has a hobby. He does everything for everyone else when they ask.
Yeah, that's it.
Look after this, do this.
I did try to leave the country at one point, so I didn't have to do this shit.
Maybe you should learn how to edit podcasts so I don't have to do it all. That would be a really good hobby for you to pick up. What about you, Faja? Been up to much?
Not really. No, I've just been working as always. But yeah, it was a bit of a big week this week because there was a lot of things happening at work. So lots of things to set up and take down, if you like.
Yeah.
But it's all good. And I acquired an Apple MacBook.
Okay.
Which is, one of the perks of where I work. I get these things every now and then. Of course, and I know you're all big supporters of Apple products.
Not at all. This podcast is not supported by Apple.
Yeah, but anyway, it's good.
Cool. I finally got around to seeing Sinners. I've been talking about it for 2 weeks. I've missed it.
Yeah.
Finally saw it.
Finally, about bloody time.
And it was good.
I was about to say, so was it worth the wait or not?
Well, I don't know about that, but no, it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was not really what I expected, but it was really good.
Right.
Yeah. And not only that, yesterday I saw another movie.
Oh, right. Okay. What was that one?
Clown in a Cornfield.
Was that a horror film?
That was a horror
That
film.
sounds like a horror film. Jesus.
Anything to do with cornfields, usually a horror thing.
And clowns.
And clowns,
And
yeah.
Well, yeah, clowns, but yeah.
I watched the trailer. I saw the trailer when we went to see Sinners, and I thought, oh my God, that looks so funny.
Yeah.
It looks ridiculous.
Yeah,
funny.
it sounds like it'd be one of those really good sort of, like, what do you call them? Like the comedy horrors, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
corny
it's made
ones.
by the people that made Tucker and Dale versus
Oh,
Evil.
fuck yeah.
Which is
It's
hilarious.
so fucking good.
That's great.
Yeah, it's such a good movie.
So this was kind of in that kind of tone. And then, yeah, it was actually excellent. It was really, really good.
I would watch that. That sounds fucking...
How did you guys get into horror? Like, 'cause you weren't growing up with horror movies, really?
That was me.
Yeah, must have been.
Yeah, it was good.
I was obsessed with horror movies pretty much
Young.
young.
Yeah, very young.
Yeah.
And it started with I can't remember how it started, but I remember Scream was really what solidified it for me.
Yeah.
And that came out in what, 96?
Something like that. It was,
So I would have been what, 14?
yeah.
And yeah, I remember watching that and thinking, oh my God. And then I just had to watch every horror movie that had ever been made. And the only I remember the only one that I was not allowed to watch was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
So I could get out all these other R-rated ones, like Nightmare on Elm Street was still rated R back then.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th and Halloween, all these big classics. Night of the Living Dead, where the zombie like spills his guts all over the floor. All of that, fine. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, absolutely. You are not watching that, not ever. I don't even want you to watch that when you're an adult. And we finally went to a sleepover with at a friend's place when I was like 17 or something, and we had a movie night. And they had Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I was like, oh, finally. Finally, I can watch it. And I thought it was the most boring piece of shit I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah, that's why I said you couldn't watch it. I didn't want you to be bored.
Disappointed.
Yeah, sure. But I've come to appreciate it more now. But when I was 17 and everyone had hyped it up to this big
thing,
horrible movie that no one should ever watch, I was like, oh, that was boring.
And I'm, as you know, nowhere near as big a horror fan as Gary. And I am selective in my horror movies.
You walked out of the Friday the 13th remake.
That's right, because I can't handle... Well, I can handle a lot more than I used to be able to since then. But I'm not very good with some certain horror movies. But I don't mind a lot of gore and all that kind of stuff. And things like Scream and stuff are fantastic. And that's all thanks to Gary when I was growing up as well. Although he used to scare the fuck out of me, as you know, as well, when we were kids.
Should we go on a tangent while we're in the reads?
Well,
Emily's sleepover.
Yes.
Scream was very popular. Emily had a sleepover. They were watching horror movies and stuff too, like, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I borrowed someone's Scream mask.
It was Aaron's. Yeah.
And because my bedroom, remember that we had that big glass plate window in between the dining room and the
I remember.
lounge room. So, my bedroom was on one side of the house so that I could go from my bedroom through the kitchen and they would be able to see through the window.
Yep.
And I'd go into the hallway that would open to the door on the other side of the lounge room. So when they were watching it, I waited for the first kill to be over and for things to start to get tense again. And then I would prank call the house. So that they, interactive.
As you do, yeah.
So I was prank calling the house, and then just right at the moment someone was about to jump out in the movie, I jumped through the door, the other door, with a fucking kitchen knife and a Scream mask on, and everyone screamed except for one of her friends that jumped up ready to fucking go me. So I had to take a step back before she punched me. And then we all laughed. Good times.
Yeah,
good times.
Why am I not surprised?
Well, you can't talk. You used to do shit to me when I was growing up.
Oh, that was just to harden you up, you know.
Yeah, it
Didn't work.
No. Then you wonder why I can't watch certain horror films growing up.
You probably can't go down any stairs
Yeah,
either.
that's right.
Because there was always a dragon downstairs.
Yeah, dragons downstairs, wake up with shoes put under my curtains in my bedroom. So I'd wake up in the morning and there's little shoes stuck out from behind my curtain and they're done in a way so it looks like it's been pushed out. Someone's standing behind my curtains. I would have been like not even 10.
Well, then you got that ventriloquist dummy. That was the
Yes.
silliest thing to get, wasn't it?
Yeah.
'Cause I really could prop that up properly.
Yes, you could move that around the house into
I think I
different
put
areas.
a picture of you in one hand and a knife in
Knife
the other
in the
and set
other.
it up in the bedroom, didn't I?
Yes, you did. So I woke up to that. Yes.
Is this why you don't have hobbies?
This is why I don't have hobbies. This is why I'm scared of horror movies.
That's why he's on the medication that he's on.
This is the nerve disorder too.
Yeah,
Is that
that's right. I've got the constant shakes. Yes.
Well, you
Yes.
turned out okay, so you know.
This is
what's
why I
the
left the
problem?
country. I've got such a loving family.
Oh dear.
Oh, fuck.
All right. No Trek news this week. We still do not have a date for Strange New Worlds, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's
It should be coming up soon, but still no date.
yeah, right.
Paramount Plus did release a stupid
I
Star
saw
Trek
that.
SpongeBob crossover promotion.
Like, don't get me wrong, I love SpongeBob. Absolutely love it. But this
I-
was stupid.
Have never seen SpongeBob in my
What?
life.
What?
So
Even Dad likes
I don't
SpongeBob.
Yeah, I like SpongeBob.
Get it? I don't get it. I don't get why they would do this.
Because SpongeBob's huge and amazing, but it was still dumb.
Okay. Okay then.
You can back me up here, Dad.
No, he's funny. SpongeBob is funny.
All right. Well, I'll take your word for it because I am not interested.
Okay.
And I saw in my emails before coming here today that the long-anticipated Star Trek Voyager documentary, To the Journey, has finally sent out the links to watch the documentary on streaming, which is very exciting. Woohoo. The Blu-ray discs are not on the way yet, but if you did back the film, you should have a link in your email now or very soon. So that's very exciting. That's probably going to be my afternoon, is watching that Voyager documentary. Been waiting years for that thing. Yeah. Although I do want to go to the movies and see the Thunderbolts, the new Marvel one, but we'll see. We'll see how long you waffle on for today.
Well, could be a while.
Great.
Depends how good the episode is.
Well, it can't be as bad as last week's
That's
episode.
exactly.
Surely.
We went through that pretty quick.
Hopefully, last week's one episode is the low point for a long time.
Yeah,
Hopefully, it's
let's
all
hope.
uphill from here.
What was it called last week again?
Precious Cargo.
Oh, yeah, which obviously wasn't the actual show then.
No, it was not precious. All right, this week we are watching Star Trek Enterprise's The Catwalk, written by Mike Sussman and Phyllis Strong, who also co-wrote Dead Stop, which was a good episode. Directed by Mike Vahar. I hope I pronounced that right. Original air date December 18th, 2002. This is the last episode of 2002 before the mid-season break. And the IMDb synopsis reads: after receiving a warning about a radioactive storm approaching Enterprise, the crew is forced to take shelter in the ship's catwalk. The end.
The ship has a catwalk?
Yeah.
Yeah, for fashion shows.
Yeah. Got to get those new uniforms.
Okay.
Seen here in the Starfleet blue one piece. It's Commander Riker.
Actually, yeah, that could match Star Trek, I guess. It wouldn't be on Star Wars.
No.
Nah, they're too busy trying to learn how to shoot properly.
And walking into doors.
Yeah, that's it. Not knocking their heads.
They couldn't put a fashion show together if they tried.
I don't know. Darth Vader looks pretty cool.
Star Wars. Why will you keep inviting him back?
I don't know.
Always ends up talking about Star Wars.
I'm the
Ridiculous.
balance. I'm the balance.
All right, let's go watch it.
All right.
And we're back from watching The Catwalk. Well, guys, what did you think? Tom, first impressions?
It wasn't too bad, actually.
It was way better than Precious Cargo.
That's it. I think that was probably where my brain was at more than anything. Like, it wasn't a fantastic episode, but it was all right. Like, I didn't think badly of it, and compared to last week's, it was quite
It was a
good.
masterpiece.
Yeah,
it was Hitchcockian.
Fantastic.
Faja?
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. I thought the storyline was good, but it may have a few, reality problems.
Reality problems?
Well, like, it just seems strange that, their spaceship was going to get destroyed, but the other one wasn't, which was heaps smaller and looked crappier. Things like that, just, I don't know. There was a few things I thought didn't add up.
Okay.
And, yeah.
But the storyline was good. It did captivate you to some extent.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, well, it was fine.
I thought it was pretty good. It reminded me a little of that Next Gen episode, Starship Mine, where Picard's the only one on the ship when there's the terrorists trying to steal plasma or something.
Yeah, and then there's one in Voyager as well where 7 of 9 gets left on the ship and the crew
everyone's in stasis.
Yeah, stasis. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, echoes of previous tracks.
Yeah, that's right.
Because Enterprise struggles to do anything original.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, let's get into the episode, shall we?
Alrighty.
We get a lovely, nice shot of the Enterprise orbiting a planet with a captain's log, talking about finding an uninhabited planet with, it sounds like a utopia of an Eden of adventure awaits. Yeah, full of canyons to scale and fields to run in, and I'm surprised Porthos wasn't on the shuttle pod.
Surprised Porthos wasn't with him. Yeah.
But they're getting set to launch, and they get hailed by some aliens.
Yeah.
Archer asks them if there's something that they can do for them, and they say, considering the circumstances, we would like permission to come aboard as soon as possible. And then they say there is a neutronic wave front, so a big storm coming.
Yeah.
That it's traveling at high warp. They suggest that as soon as we're on board, you go to warp 7 to outrun it.
That's right. Then we only go warp 5, and then the
opening credits start, and we skip them.
Thank Christ.
Now, I have a question. If you're going at warp 7, what direction are you going to? And how long do you have to keep at warp 7 to get away from the storm if it's traveling at high warp as well?
Well, this is the whole thing, isn't it? Because is it expanding in all directions,
Well, I don't know.
or is it travelling in one direction? If so, isn't there a possibility of avoiding it even in this episode?
Well, I mean, if you look at what later in the episode, if you look at what's coming at them, they just had to go up because it's a string.
It looked like the Nexus.
It's a string, right? So it's just a wave, and then they could have just went, oh, well, we'll just go that way, and then we're good. They could go
In
that
what
way.
movie where something's coming at you does anyone run sideways, Tom? Ridiculous. You always run away
Point
from
the
it.
ship upwards and go.
What? Do you think this is space or something?
Space is three-dimensional. Go that way.
If something's chasing you on a movie, you have to run away from it,
Exactly.
not sideways to avoid it.
Exactly. Imagine
comes up with-
Indiana Jones seeing that big boulder and just running left instead of towards
Along
the
the
camera.
path where it's coming. Yeah, that's right.
Ridiculous.
Stay with the program.
Or like when something's collapsing downwards and everyone goes with it instead of to the side. Fucking hell.
Or if there's like a steamroller coming at you.
Yes.
And you just, get out of the way! Move!
Good old Austin Powers.
There's a reason you're called Faja.
That's right. So fucking good.
Okay. So the answer to my question was, meh,
Since there's no answer,
move on. So,
The old and the wise.
we skip the credits. We're in the situation room at the back of the bridge. Just about all of the main crew are standing around the table in the situation room, and they're talking about the upcoming storm, that they've got about 4 hours before it hits. They go through a bunch of different options and then decide that the best option is to fill the catwalk up in the warp nacelle.
Yeah. Because it's the most.
Because it's got the most shielding,
Yeah.
it's going to be the most safe space for everyone
from the radiation.
in the storm. Yeah. So they decided to set that up. T'Pol's in charge of the evacuation of the people. Tucker's going to set up the command station in one of the compartments up there. And then they're going to shove 83 people into one warp nacelle instead of splitting it across two.
Which is just dumb.
Well, yeah.
Like,
I know you've only got 4 hours. I know that. You only need one command station, though.
That's right.
You only need to put in toilets in both spots. And then what else is there to do?
That's right. And you don't need like one guy on putting a toilet in. Like it doesn't just need to be him. He's got other people that work in engineering.
There's 83 people there.
That's right. They can put a toilet in the other side. Like
I wouldn't have thought it would be that big a deal. But
No.
anyway, they decide on one. They're going to cram the entire crew into one catwalk.
Yep.
That's fine. That's their prerogative.
well,
It's prerogative.
logically, it gives you more shielding from radiation if you've got a lot of people around you.
Just
I'd be in the middle.
yes, stand 5 people around you at all times.
Well, hopefully that's not what they were thinking.
Line the walls with other people.
So we cut to the catwalk. Trip and Travis walk in. Travis makes a comment about it being hot and stuffy, and Trip's like, "You wait till we got 83 people in here."
Yeah, man, that's going to be great.
And Travis says, "Don't forget Porthos and all the doctor's animals,
Yeah.
the bat and the slugs."
Yeah. Yuck.
Anyway,
Dispose of the animals.
They could have went in
What?
the other nacelle, right?
What are you looking at me for?
just what do you mean dispose of the? I'd dispose of you before I dispose of the animals.
It's a bit harsh.
I'm sorry, but if there was a choice between saving you and saving my dogs, I'll see you at your funeral.
How wonderful.
No offense.
They could have put the animals in the other nacelle, right?
They could have.
Yeah. See, that would have been easy.
They could have done a few different things, but they didn't.
Nope.
Anyway,
That's not the story.
that's not it.
That's TV logic.
That's right. So they walk through. They find the little hatchway that they're going to turn into the control center inside the catwalk, and then we cut to the decon chamber. And the aliens that were on the comm before that warned of the storm are still in decon, and Archer comes in to escort them, and they introduce themselves and say they're from the Takrit system and that they're stellar cartographers.
Sure.
And Archer says, "Oh, that's great. Once we get out of the storm, maybe you can help us update our star charts." I said, "Yeah, love to. Yeah, that sounds great."
Yeah. Would be happy to help.
And then they head off. They're walking through the corridors heading to the catwalk, and we get a montage because you're going to need a montage. The ship is crazy busy. Their engineering's locking down the engines and stuff, and people are packing bags and passing things up ladders, and there's spacesuits being packed up. And
Yep, and they're putting up bloody like sheets and shit everywhere.
And then we cut to sickbay, and Phlox is there with a lot of cages and boxes and supplies. And T'Pol comes in and says, "You're behind schedule. Do you need any help?" And he begs for some more space, and she says, "Fine." And we cut to the catwalk. Trip is escorting the aliens in and says, "I'm afraid these aren't first-class accommodations." The alien says, "That's okay. We'll be right. We'll be right, mate." They must be Australian. "She'll be right, mate.
She'll be all right, Bobber.
Crikey, it's a bit cramped in here.
I'm just going to grill up some croc." Trip leaves them setting up in their little spot that's going to be theirs. So the aliens are left alone. And one of them says, "I don't know the first thing about cartography. What if they start to ask questions?" They're like, "Shh, shh."
Yeah, it'll be fine. Shut up. Like, were any of us convinced that they were who they said they were when they come on?
No, negative.
Like, it was completely obvious that they were bullshitting from the start.
Exactly. We cut to the ready room. Archer's packing up the last of his little bits and pieces from his ready room, and he notices the storm out the window, and it looks like, I don't know, the Nexus,
The purple Nexus.
meets the Great Barrier. It's like something like that, but shinier.
Yeah, shiny and purple.
Yeah, so he stands at the window and has a look, checks it out.
Yeah.
T'Pol enters, and he says that he didn't expect it to be beautiful. Then he says, "Too bad we don't have time to run scans." And T'Pol says, "Well, we can run all the scans we want. We'll be inside the phenomenon for 8 days."
Yeah, sure.
And then Archer says, "We're going to shut down the power grid."
Yeah. Like, how are you...
I don't know how they're running scans without power.
Yeah,
But
we're going to shut down everything.
we'll,
But we'll do scans.
like, are they just going to hold a tricorder up to the wall and hope it goes through the shielded area? I'm not sure.
So stupid.
Bit silly. Anyway, earlier in the bridge scene, T'Pol was talking about how a Vulcan ship had
Encountered one of these.
encountered one of these, storms before and had nearly been destroyed. And in this scene, Archer says, "So I did a little research into the Vulcan database, and turns out that starship was lost with all hands." I thought you said it was nearly destroyed. And she says, "Well, I must have remembered incorrectly."
Sure.
Yeah. So she broke the Vulcans cannot lie rule.
Yeah. Well, she has been living with humans for quite a while.
She has.
So she's either broken the rule and didn't want to scare everyone. So she just said, it was slightly damaged. It was okay. It's fine. Instead of scaring the shit out of everyone. Or, as you sort of said earlier or alluded to earlier, maybe she just actually forgot. Like got it mistaken because
Maybe she did remember
lie.
incorrectly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Possibly.
We cut to the bridge. Archer is at the helm, and Reed and DePaul are at their stations. Archer calls down to Trip in the catwalk and asks if they're ready for handoff.
Yep, that's right.
Trip says, "Give me a second," and he presses some buttons, and a bunch of optic cables that aren't connected to anything light up.
Yeah.
Looks pretty, but
Yeah,
pretty useless because
yeah.
nothing's plugged in.
Makes no sense whatsoever.
But it looks science fiction-y, so
Yeah.
good enough.
Yeah. Back then, I suppose people were a little
Oh,
still,
fiber optics.
Yeah, that's
Whoa.
it. Still impressed by shit like that. Yeah.
That was a wireless connection.
Yeah, makes sense.
Sure.
They send the command functions down to the catwalk. Trip confirms that it's set up, and then they, as Captain Archer says, close up shop. And all the lights go out,
Except for half the monitors and lights.
and all the lights are replaced with blue emergency lighting. And Archer stays for a second to look at the empty bridge with the lights off. We cut to the catwalk in the command area up there. Archer arrives. He confirms that everyone's been accounted for. He does a inspired speech to the whole crew, saying, "You may not be comfortable, but you'll be alive. We have the best crew in the fleet and the sturdiest ship. I promise you we'll get through this. We are the only crew in the fleet, and we have the only ship."
Yeah.
So yes, it is the best crew and the sturdiest ship because there's no others to compare it to.
That's right.
So he wasn't wrong, right?
He was not
That's
wrong.
right. No, that's right.
Nope. Correct. There's a dramatic countdown as they approach the storm. As the whole ship starts to shake. They get through. They turn on the stabilizers, and they're good.
Once the stabilizers actually work
Correct. We come back from commercial, and Archer is walking through the catwalk.
and making small
there's-
talk painfully with people.
Correct.
And it's so fucking painful.
He's talking about crossword with a crew member.
Yes, and then he goes to Hoshi and he's talking about some fucking shit, and she's like, "You're the captain, can't you calm down the storm?" The storm's like barely fucking shaking the ship. Ridiculous. Anyway, sorry. They're just not good at making it realistic when he's talking to people. Either it's him or it's either the writing or it's him. I don't know what this is, but it annoyed the shit out of me.
Clearly. Clearly it annoyed the shit out of you.
Could you tell that, Gary?
No. You hit it so well. Fucking hell.
They're not good at small
Every
talk
fucking
stuff.
week with this guy. As he's walking around, I do notice that he walked past the aliens who have put up the blankets all around their little area so that they're secluded from everyone else.
Yeah.
At the end of this scene, Archer is talking to Trip, who was playing card games. He says that they haven't really talked to the aliens much, but they've been friendly, I guess.
Yeah.
Reed goes into the sickbay area with Phlox and says that he's been has had an upset stomach. Phlox gives him a shot. He says it's been pretty common amongst the crew. There's been a number of people that have had the same issues. And the captain comes in just as he's finishing up and asks if he's okay. Reed says, "Never better," and leaves.
Yeah. Because you couldn't just say, just a little queasy, sir.
No. Archer and Phlox have a little interaction. The most exciting thing that came out of that was Dr. Flock saying that Denobula has 12 billion people sharing one continent.
Yeah.
And that, space is at a premium on Denobula. Interesting.
It's pretty fucked, really. It's a lot of fucking people.
12 billion.
That's a lot.
One continent, and I hope it's a big continent.
Yeah, you put a fucking hope. Jesus. I'd say I'd visit a different planet if I was going on holiday.
Riser.
Yeah.
We cut to the Catwalk command area. Archer makes his way in there, checks in with Travis at the helm to make sure everything's okay. Travis says he's had to navigate around some plasma eddies, but mostly doing fine. Archer says once you get past those eddies, get Ensign Tanner to relieve you and get some rest. Then Archer goes to have a sleep on his bed at the back of the command center, and T'Pol's on the other side of the room. Like, they're pretty close together, though.
Only a meter or so.
Yeah. And he lays down, opens his pad to watch some water polo, and it's noisy, and he's reacting to it, going, yeah, well, yeah, oh, well, yeah.
As you do when you're sitting that close to someone. Like,
T'Pol gives him a glance like are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. Like, how fucking annoying are you, bitch?
He says, does this bother you? Only slightly. So he turns it off and settles down to go to sleep. He's got a hand over his eyes because the light's still on. And T'Pol's tapping on her pad, so it's like making noise as well.
Yep.
And then she looks over and says, am I disturbing you? And he says, only slightly. She turns off her pad and lies down. Archer says that the bright side of all this is that it's bringing the crew closer together. It's almost like going on a camping trip. And T'Pol says, perhaps we can sing a few songs later. This Vulcan sarcasm is on fire.
She's good, right?
I'm just remembering Spock singing Row, Row, Row Your Boat with Captain Kirk and Bones on Star Trek V. Like, just imagine
that's great.
Trip and Archer and T'Pol all singing Row, Row, Row Your Boat around a campfire.
Having a round.
So they talk about camping for a second, and then Archer basically tells her that she has to fraternize with some people. Like, you have to get out of the command center and go and get to know the crew.
It's just wrong. She's doing what she has to do. She's doing her job. She's doing what she's paid for.
No one gets paid.
As long as you're doing the minimum, stop complaining.
Oh my God. She's the first officer. It would be nice for her to get to know the crew a bit, right?
Meh.
Isn't that technically her job?
She said she was familiar with them. She knew their names.
And Archer said what? There's a lot more to these people than just their names.
Yeah, but she doesn't have to know that. She just has to know how to put them in their place when they need to be.
This is why you'll never be first officer. You are going to be like Lieutenant Picard in Tapestry.
in the alternate.
Yes, in Tapestry. You are going to be Lieutenant Picard in his little blue uniform, passing messages from one department to the other.
Well, you don't have to. You don't have to be nice if you know the Vulcan nerve pins, do you? You just get sick of them. You just move on. You don't really have to know if they annoy you.
Oh dear. We get an external shot of the ship in the storm, and then we cut to Trip, Malcolm, Hoshi, and Travis playing poker, and tensions are starting to get a bit high. Reed's getting angry because he wants to have a shower, and he starts to have a go at Trip for not installing one. Everyone's getting a bit tense.
Yeah, I do have a question here, though.
Yes?
When we did get this external ship of shot of the ship,
Yes?
there was no other ship attached at this point, right?
Not at this point, no.
Right, cool. Just clarifying.
Okay.
Just clarifying that.
Okay, then. Did you have a point?
'Cause how long is it between that shot and then him finding them on the ship?
They were just out of the shot when they took it.
Right, sure.
Or we're talking about it's been a few days, I think. So, like, I don't know where everything fits in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
'cause it has been a few days, but we get the shot now,
It wasn't
You
those
get the
shows.
shot
Wasn't one of
now,
those shows
and then
where
we go into the ship.
wasn't one of those shows where the calendar flips over
No.
on the wall every day.
No, I agree. But I'm assuming we come back from the advert or whatever, and then we see the external, and then we go into the ship. Meaning that that external was just before we're in the ship now.
Yes.
Right.
And then they're playing poker.
Yeah.
They get angry at each other.
Yeah.
Chef comes over and gives them out their pot roasts
Yeah.
for the third day in a row.
Even though they're playing with...
And then they complain. Oh, not pot roast again. It's, it's just a bit like, not smoked brisket again with, we have to put up with this every day.
Yep.
How terrible.
How terrible. Hot meal every day.
Yeah. Hot cooked meal.
We don't see Chef's face, just to be clear.
Yeah. Yep. Which we never
They
do.
talk about movie night and that they're going to play The Day the Earth Stood Still. And everyone again is getting like Hoshi's who's picking these movies? Shouldn't we all get to vote? And so everyone's getting anxious and angry
Tense
again.
and,
Then they notice there's smoke coming from the aliens area of the compartment. And so they rush over there and pull the sheet back, and they're grilling some sort of animal product on a hot plate. And Trip says, "Are you aware you're sitting on top of a plasma manifold? You got to turn that off." Anyway,
yeah.
they say they've been having trouble digesting the food, and they take the pan to give to Chef to see if he can heat it up for them. And then Archer comes over the comm and says to Trip, "You need to come up to the command area right away."
Mm-hmm.
So we cut to the command area as Trip arrives, and Archer says we have a problem in engineering. It's probably a glitch, but the antimatter injectors have come online. Trip starts to complain about the aliens, saying that they don't sleep much, so they've been keeping everyone awake with their strange rituals of chanting,
Walking around.
walking around. Yeah, they've practically taken over the compartment. Like, okay,
Yeah.
calm down. Archer tells him to be patient. We owe them. They warned us about the storm. Trip says he's trying, and this is all while they're checking out what's happening. He says it looks like the matter injectors and the antimatter injectors are both online. Archer asks if it's a sensor glitch. T'Pol suggests maybe it's a power surge, could have triggered the circuits. And Trip says, quite angrily, "Do you have any idea what the odds are of that happening?" And he says that someone's going to have to go down to engineering to fix it.
Yeah. And him being the chief engineer.
Is the man for the job.
Exactly.
So he heads off to the hatch, and then we see him in an EV suit. The ship's still shaking through all of this as well.
Yep.
Flock says, "Remember, the suit will only protect you for 22 minutes.
Yep.
Archer says, "So it'd be best not to take the scenic route."
No.
So
Like-
Trip heads down the hatch into the ship. Eventually he gets to engineering. He turns on a couple of things and then notices that there's a piece of equipment on the floor which shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Then he hears someone moving around, and he turns off what he was doing and turns off his lights on his EV suit, and he hides as he watches two figures moving around.
Yep. Two of the
We come
same
back from
alien.
commercial,
Yeah.
and he's still hiding. We come back to exactly where we were, and yeah, he sees the aliens, and they're the same sort of aliens that
The three.
in the catwalk with them.
That's it.
Same species, but they're not wearing spacesuits,
No.
so
Surprisingly.
they're fine. And so he decides to head back to let everyone else know what's going on and avoid some more aliens. So there's more than just the three that we see in engineering. There's a few more walking around in the corridors that he hides from. He goes into a room and he opens the monitors, and he brings up the video footage of the bridge and sees that there's a bunch of aliens up there as well. So these aliens have basically taken control of the ship.
Yeah.
And they're
And
obviously
he looks
working
out
to
the
get
window
controls.
too.
That's right.
And he sees the ship attached.
Correct.
That wasn't there 20 minutes ago. Yet they've infiltrated
It's probably more than 20 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
You don't know when that
Half
external
an
shot
hour.
was?
Just before he got called in to check the...
Maybe the
monitors.
external shot was after the scene before it, and it's 3 days later.
But
You might want to go and get to know your crew cut to external shot of the ship. And then we cut back to the game. Maybe the external shot was in the 3 days in between while they're eating pot roast.
For 3 days.
Maybe it was day one.
Was it there wasn't
It's not like it faded through into the window to show you what was going on.
No. But was there wasn't an ad in there or anything?
Nope.
Wasn't a trailer break or nothing?
Nope. There was not.
I shall forgive it.
Well, you don't have a fucking choice. But again, every fucking week.
So they were trying to take over the ship, but they hadn't.
Correct. We cut to the ready room, and there is an alien captain sitting there. He is going through the crew manifest on Archer's monitor, and another one of the aliens comes in and says there's no sign of the fugitives. The captain asks, what about the crew? And he says that it appears that they've deserted the ship. Then he talks about the humans and how they've travelled so far from their homeworld. They've probably taken refuge in some other system and probably intend to return. We need to get the engines up and running. So the other guy fucks off, and the captain goes back to his listening to the captain's logs and reading about the crew.
Yeah, which wasn't the last log, obviously.
He wants to get to know the people, Tom.
Yes, but if you listen to the last log, you'd know they're in the nacelles, wouldn't they?
Maybe he didn't have time to record a log. He only had 4 hours.
Was he helping install the toilet?
He might have been. He's a very hands-on captain.
Maybe he was going to the toilet.
Maybe he was. Maybe he'd eaten too much pot roast.
He might have been constipated.
See?
Spent 3.5 hours in the toilet.
That's right.
Although he could have done a log on the toilet, I suppose.
2.
Yeah, that's right. Captain's logs.
Maybe flush them down.
Oh, Jesus. I'm sorry, everyone. All right. We cut to the catwalk. There's a whole crowd gathered around the aliens now because Tripper's come back and told them what's going on, that they're being invaded. Phlox scans them and says that they're immune to the radiolytic isotopes in the storm. The alien says that their ship would have been destroyed in the storm, so they were in danger, just not them.
Yeah, just not what they
physically.
thought.
Yeah. The captain says, "Who are they? What are they doing here?" One of the aliens says, we don't know. I can assure you, I don't know. We don't know. We don't know who they are." Archer says, "So, they just happened to find Enterprise in the middle of a Class 5 neutronic storm where 3 members of their own species just happen to be taking refuge."
Spot on.
I'm pretty sure he said it exactly like that.
You've done a better job than he did.
One of the other aliens says to the leader of their little group, "I told you we shouldn't have come here." And then they decide to confess and say what's going on.
Yeah.
They say that they were officers of the Takret militia.
Low ranking.
And that they joined the militia thinking they were going to be doing good things. And it turns out that they were corrupt. They would seize alien vessels, murder the crews, and take anything of value. They were basically pirates.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to be part of that. So they tried to resign and they wouldn't allow it. So they escaped before they could be executed. So Archer hearing that doesn't say, "Oh, that sucks. We'll look after you."
Yeah.
He says, "You're deserters."
Yeah, that's it. How dare you not want to be pirates?
Dare you? So they say that if they find them, that they will execute them, and they apologize for putting the Enterprise crew in a difficult position. T'Pol says they obviously don't realize we're in the catwalk. If they learn that we're here, no doubt we'll be in danger. Archer says, "You're assuming that these people are telling the truth. They've already lied to us." The alien says, "We're not lying. These men are dangerous." And then it cuts away before they even decide what they're going to do.
They don't tell us.
They don't tell us. But it cuts away, and we cut to engineering, and there's an alien trying to fix the ship. Captain on the bridge calls down to ask what's going on. And he says, we're ready to initialize the warp reactor. The captain says to stand by. The alien captain is sitting in Archer's chair, and he asks the helm guy if we've got helm control yet. And he says, nope.
Nada.
Not yet. I think it's been rerouted, and he doesn't know how long it's going to take. So he orders the alien and engineering to get the warp engines online and come up to the bridge.
I like how he knows it's been rerouted, but he's not interested in where, why, how, any of that shit. Just get it done.
Get it done!
Yeah. Just get her done! Yeah, that's it. Just do it.
Yeah, what difference does it make?
Couldn't have been rerouted for any particular purpose. Like
Even if it was, doesn't matter. Get it? I want control.
Yeah.
Done.
The captain probably thought, he doesn't really know anyway. He's just making up an excuse. It's been rerouted. Oh, yeah, whatever. Just get it done.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Bullshit. Just do it.
Yeah. We cut to the catwalk. The Paul says that we probably outnumber them, but we only have 3 EV suits. They only took 3.
Apparently.
Crazy. They can't get any more because the launch base crawling with aliens. And then they only have 22 minutes in the radiation anyway, so it's probably going to be too hard to retake the ship in 22 minutes. And then the warp engine starts to come online, which lights up the nacelles.
Yeah.
And Trip says they've got about 20 minutes before they're in some real deep shit.
So they got 22 minutes to do anything they need to do.
Yep.
Because that's how long they've got in the radiation. That's how long before they all cook and fry in the engines.
Yep.
So they got 22 minutes, basically.
Absolutely.
That narrowed it down.
Yeah.
Yep. Then we cut to commercial, so that wastes 5 right there.
Yeah. That's
Now
the
they've
end
only
of
got
that. Yeah.
We cut to the hatch. Archer, Reed, and T'Pol are now in EV suits. Trip wants to go, but he's already been exposed to the radiation, so he can't. But Trip's going to talk Reed and T'Pol through...
They're going to interrupt the stream.
Interrupt the antimatter stream.
That's it.
But those controls aren't within the catwalk.
No, they're in junction 42 Alpha.
Yeah, because you wouldn't put that within, where the catwalk is.
No, you need to put it in junction 42 Alpha.
Yeah, of course.
Because you got to get to it before it splits into the 2 nacelles.
Fair enough.
No.
I'm going to agree with you. I don't know the layouts of anything, obviously.
You mean you're not an engineer in Starfleet in the 22nd century?
Certainly not.
The way you criticise it, I think you fucking wrote the thing.
He hasn't got that book that breaks down the Enterprise into...
Not the technical manual.
The technical manual.
I got the technical manual for Enterprise D and Voyager.
Of course you do. I think I've got the Enterprise D one.
Yeah.
Anyway. So they go in to interrupt the stream. An Archer's going to go do something else. We cut to the bridge. The alien captain asks if we've got it working yet. And the alien crewman says, nope, we don't. But we should probably just take what we can and leave. And the captain says, nope, keep working. I want helm control. He doesn't want to let the Enterprise go.
Like, you just wouldn't let it go. You'd be like, no, just keep working on it. There's no reason to go yet. We're not in any trouble. We're not in any... I know we're in a storm, but there's no reason to actually leave. Just
Not yet.
Just do your damn job.
Yeah. Reed and T'Pol get to junction 42 Alpha, and they open up a panel, and Trip calls over the comm, and T'Pol says that they're in position, and Trip talks about how to disrupt the antimatter stream. Then we cut back to the bridge. Archer is hailing the captain from inside the ship, and Alex says, "You're in my chair." He says, "Captain Archer, I didn't realize you were still aboard. Where's the rest of your crew?" And Archer's faking like illness here.
Yeah.
He's making it sound like he's dying.
Crook. Yeah.
He's like, dead, killed by the storm.
His poor acting got worse.
Something like that.
It's terrible.
Archer tells him to get the hell off my ship. He says, "I'm afraid I can't do that."
Dave.
"We detected a vessel in your launch bay that belongs to 3 fugitives." And Archer says, "I know you're trying to take the Enterprise. I'm not going to let you." He says, "You're in no position to do anything. I'm in command of this bridge. Your vessel has been impounded under the authority of the Takret militia. When we return, you'll be charged with criminal conspiracy."
Sure.
Archer says, "I don't recognize your authority. I answer to Starfleet Command, and I'm under orders to use any means necessary to keep my ship from falling into enemy hands." The alien says that he's got soldiers searching everywhere. It's only a matter of time before they find you. And Archer says, "Well, fuck you, I'm going to destroy the Enterprise."
Yeah. You can't have if I can't have it,
no one can. The alien captain says, "I don't think you'll do that. Not your father's engine. I've been reading about you, Captain, and I doubt very much if you'll do anything to damage this vessel."
It's like the worst threat, right? It's like, oh, you're going to take it away from me. I'm never going to have it again. I'm going to be locked up forever. So why wouldn't the fuck I destroy it? Really?
Exactly.
Like, of course I fucking would.
Archer says you'd be surprised, and the transmission ends. The alien captain says we need to find him. Then we cut to the catwalk area. Archer says to Travis that it's time to head straight for the plasma eddy. Try and keep us in one piece. I'm on my way back. Archer out. Archer goes back into the galley and gets shot at. And there's a big phaser fight in the galley.
Yep.
Pew, pew, pew.
Yep. Big Star Wars pointlessness.
Yes. Then we get an external shot of the Enterprise moving inside the storm. So it's heading towards one of these eddies. Kind of looks like purpley, sparkly Badlands from Voyager.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Yeah. We cut back to the bridge, and one of the alien crewmen says, "We've altered course." And the captain asks, "Where is he taking us?" And then it cuts back to the command area in the catwalk. And Troop says, "What's the problem shutting down the reactor? You're taking too long," over the comm. And we cut back to Junction 42A. And T'Pol says, "We're having trouble with the dilithium sequences. It's taking longer than we expected." Troop says, "I don't mean to rush you, but it's getting pretty warm in here."
Yeah.
We cut back to the galley. Archer is still shooting, and he shoots one of the soldiers.
Yeah.
We cut back to the bridge. The crewman says that he's steering us towards a plasma eddy. The captain asks how long they've got. He says less than 8 minutes. The captain wants helm control still. The guy says we should evacuate. This is ridiculous. And the captain says, "No!"
Yeah.
And then we cut back to the catwalk command area. And Trip says that the temperature has just gone up another 6 degrees. I don't know if that's Celsius or Fahrenheit. I don't know. But asks T'Pol how it's coming along. She says that it's been disabled. And then we cut back to the bridge. The warp reactor has been shut down. The alien crewman tells the captain that, and then says that we're only 4 minutes away from the eddy. Everything starts to shake as the ship is getting closer to this eddy. The captain orders everyone to the docking hatch to get back onto their ship and abandon the Enterprise. We see a shot in the galley where two of the aliens pick up their fallen friend that Archer shot, and they fuck off.
Yep.
Then we cut back to the catwalk command area, and Travis says we need to veer off the eddy. We're getting too close. T'Pol says maintain your course. We get an external shot of the militia ship undocking and flying away. Travis says we just have to change course. We're going to hit the eddy, and this isn't going to be a good thing. And T'Pol says, "No, you maintain your course. That's an order."
Do it, damn it.
And then Archer opens a comm up to them and says that, "I hope you're not still heading for that eddy." They're gone. So T'Pol says, "Ensign," and that means do it.
Yeah, for sure.
So the Enterprise, we get an external shot of the Enterprise veering off into away from the eddy.
Doing a big 180.
Yeah. Yep. And we get a captain's log supplemental. He says that we seem to have passed through the worst part of the storm, but it'll still be a while before we can leave the catwalk. The crew's in relatively good spirits, considering they haven't had a change of uniform in 8 days. Yeah, gross.
Could you imagine T'Pol?
Poor T'Pol. I hope she's got like a smell
like a salt
reduction thing. I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah,
Phlox
the
has got a
injection.
shot.
Yeah, something. Fucking hell.
Yeah. So we cut to the catwalk and movie night's happening. So all the crew are like hanging on the railings and shit, watching an old Western movie.
Which was dead?
Yeah, I don't know what that one was. Sorry, let you down there.
Well, Sheriff Boggs was in it apparently. because T'Pol's the only one that made sense of the plot.
It was one I think we watched recently, and I can't remember it either.
But before they get into too much of
the one where someone falls off a roof when they get
yeah,
shot.
exactly.
Well, that narrows it down.
Yeah. Fucking hell, Tom.
The sheriff
Fuck, you say
Boggs,
some
the
stupid
sheriff
shit.
Boggs' name sounds familiar, not the fucking guy falling off a roof. Like, that could be anything, for fuck's sake.
You can get him every time.
Before they can talk too much about the movie, Archer comes across the comm and says that thanks to some fine piloting by Travis Mayweather, that they're going to be moving out of the storm earlier than expected and they should be clear in a few minutes. They turn the movie off. So
Anyone
get
that was
fucked if you wanted to watch the rest.
Actually watching it.
Everyone starts to leave because they're all excited to be free. And Trip says to T'Pol that he was glad that you could join us, Sub-Commander. We have movie night every Tuesday if you're interested. And she just stands there looking into nothingness for a moment.
Yeah.
And then we see an external shot of the ship coming out of the storm and into the star-speckled blackness of space. And there's a shot in the corridor of all the crew walking through back to their own quarters. And the aliens come down and apologize to the captain for the trouble they've caused. He asks where they're going. They tell him. He doesn't. Who cares?
Yeah.
And they walk off. T'Pol comes down the chute. She's the last one out. And she says, that's everyone. And Archer and T'Pol walk towards the camera and off screen, and that is the end of the episode.
And that's the end of that chapter.
So, final thoughts?
I liked it. I actually thought it was good, compared to the last one especially. But, it wasn't like top of the line Star Trek, but it was good. There was a few things that I would have liked to have seen. Like, I would have liked to have known a bit more about the three aliens and what their actual story was. Like, that kind of got washed over, and I know it was more of a plot driving point to have them there rather than needing to go deeper. But
Correct.
something that would have been nice.
They could have been like an informal two-parter, and they could have stayed on the ship, and then they could have like resolved another issue.
Yeah, that or something like that would have been nice, actually. Yeah, because it was really just it really just fell to the side, didn't it? Like, it felt a little bit, like unresolved. I didn't like it.
I think the big thing was that you've got people that are resistant to radiation and you don't even do any scientific testing or work out why that is. Aren't they meant to be
Explorers and
doing this sort of stuff, like saying, these
So
people
scientists.
are
Are you suggesting that Phlox should have killed them and autopsied them to
Studied
learn?
them. Well, kept
you know.
one alive in case you needed them to be
you
alive.
need one alive for a base,
Yeah.
and then maybe experiment on the other two.
Trust Dad.
Oh dear.
But yeah, that just seemed unresolved to me a little bit. So that would have been nice to have gotten a little bit more resolution there.
Yeah.
But other than that, it seemed like it was a pretty good idea, pretty good story.
Cool.
One that we've had before, but it was all right. It was done well.
And what's the life lesson in this one, Tom?
Yeah, okay.
Don't trust anyone.
Well, that's a good one. Cover your ass. I suppose you could go, if we're looking for one, you could go with, support, look after each other when you need to, all that kind of stuff. Stick together in the storm.
Understand what you're getting yourself into. I'm not talking about the storm, but
Yeah, I
like,
know what you mean. Anything
harboring
really.
those aliens
Yeah.
led to something else because they didn't do their
Yeah.
due diligence in learning about them and their situation.
Yeah.
That was due to the time pressure of the storm coming in.
Yeah, but that's when you're most vulnerable too. So
That's
when
right.
you're at your most vulnerable, people can take advantage of that. So
Correct.
be aware of your own
vulnerability.
vulnerabilities. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Good life lesson. IMDb ratings. Our examples of one episodes are last week's episode, Enterprise's Precious Cargo, and Voyager's Threshold. Examples of 10 episodes are Next Gen's Tapestry and Deep Space Nine's Far Beyond the Stars. With those in mind, what are we going to rate this episode?
I won't go too high, but I'll probably sit around a 4 or 5.
I think a 6.
Going with a 6?
Yeah, I think this is worthy of a 6.
What was our last 6?
Fallen Hero, that Vulcan one. We only had 1 5, and that was Desert Crossing. I think this is better than Desert Crossing.
Yeah, all right. I'll come up to a 6. I'll come up to a 6.
6 for the Catwalk.
All right.
Done. All right. Thanks for joining us this week, Faja.
No, pleasure.
And we'll be back next week.
I won't be back next week.
If you want to join in on the conversation and tell us what you thought of the Catwalk or Star Trek Enterprise or just Star Trek in general, please get in touch. You can find us on Facebook at Temporal Directive Podcast and on Instagram, just Temporal Directive. Or you can email us at wakefield_productions@outlook.com. We would love to hear from you. We'll be back next week with the episode Dawn. Live long and prosper.
Peace and long life.
May the force be with you.